Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, we'll bring you very exciting stories. And Asaba bubbles now as athletes arrive for the National Youth Games. Coming in from the world of Formula One, Red Bull grabs the first win in the practice section. Coming in from the world of football, FC Liverpool wins our first Europa Cup game after 2,682 days. These and many more. We also want to return from the break. Stay with us. At the house of me,
Glad to Friday, so glad to be here today.
Let's start from the local scene. And Asaba is the center of attraction now, owing to the fact that the National Youth Games, which is into its 7th edition, gets underway tomorrow. Nearly 4,500 athletes have arrived Asaba for 35 sporting events. Athletes across the 36 states of Nigeria are all arriving at Asaba. How exciting and of course, what's the mood like right now in Asaba?
As I yesterday, yes, some states have arrived. Hoping that some will still arrive. Don't forget that we're having 36 states and the FCT, who will be coming into this one. So, formally, we hear that states like though they're already there, states like a lot of states just arrived. We're yet to know those that will be arriving this month. But I'm sure that from now to noon today, we should be sure of the of all the states. These states are also come in different years in preparation for the big one starting tomorrow. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, but I'm sure that if what we hear is anything to go by, then I'm sure that the LOC, chaired by Tino Wokokowa, has really prepared massively to stage this particular one. Yesterday, we also hear that a few more artists have been, invited to be part of the opening ceremony. The intention is to make the opening ceremony, glittering and blissful, so that it will really announce what they intend to achieve. So for now, everything is set. They've installed the gymnastic, activities yet, and all that they want to be done. So we just keep our fingers crossed and see how far it starts tomorrow.
4,005 youths from across 36 states of Nigeria arrive in Asaba for the eventual takeoff and opening ceremony tomorrow of the 7th Youth Games. And the sports minister is already beginning to look forward to this one. As Senator Ewang is of the opinion that, yes, the youth will gather tomorrow, and the purpose is to discover talents that will take over from the athletes are already in their train light. Do you see this realization from the sports minister coming to be? Because in the past, we've often had several stories of having overage athletes take part in the youth games. But this time around, the sports minister is saying it's not going to be business as usual, and that only youths within the age brackets will be participating in this one for the sole aim of ensuring that they will be active towards as the years go by, and meaning that new athletes will be discovered from this one at a very young age.
Yeah, new athletes discovered. The essence of this is to, over the time, you see that you see the likes of Funko, for example, she's been there, for decades now. We need to have, as they continue to grow, in fact, we need to have generations of athletes filling the gap so that as they move with them. Look at what is happening in Egypt. What they go on for? You see young lads coming in, the likes of Anagoda. A young lad now, they are already preparing to take off from Mestre for the big names of this world. So that's how that even in tennis, look at what's happening. That is leaving the scene. Alcaraz system. So I think the minister is very correct. what we've seen over the years is that no, unintentional plan. We need to have an intentional plan that ensure that there is no vacuum, in the generational gap. So I think that we can achieve that. It's just a matter of getting them young and then training them or enhancing their skill for future athletics programs.
Can we see another Tobias Musa? Can we see another Blessing Oboro Dudu and the rest from the now youth games? The 30th of September, when 4,500 youths definitely are gathered for a journey to stardom. This is, I'm sure the national team selectors will be around the 23, 36, 35 sports disciplines to ensuring that they pick up athletes that will replace the aging ones. A lot of Nigerian athletes are beginning to age, and I think the need for these youth games cannot be overemphasized. And talking about the youth games, everything has to be brought to the table. The doping regulations will be on showcase in this event, EPO. We've seen in the past where one or two celebrated Nigerian athletes have been caught, or their career has been kind of tweaked because of doping violations. Is everything done here to ensuring that these youths are clean outright?
In terms of doping, I think it's good that we have, bodies coming together to ensure that they educate and create awareness for doping. I mean, it's not news that if you are caught doping, there is a severe consequence, for that. The punishment is so huge that you don't want to even go into it. And with all this punishment meted out to offenders, one wonders why doping is still, ongoing. It's rampant across athletics. So I think that for Nigeria, we have seen in recent time, we have seen a lot of disgraceful outing. We have seen our athletes who should be doing so well, caught in the web and their career, truncated. So it's lovely to get this awareness so that the young lads, this is coming timely when we're preparing for national games, so that the young lads will not even start thinking of that as a way to enhance their strength. Even if we don't have a system that checkmates this thing in Nigeria, at the global level, you cannot go anywhere. It's embarrassing not just to yourself, your family, and to the society at large. So I think that this advice is coming timely for all and sundry who are sport lovers and those who are key actors in sports.
Timely advice coming from the organizers of the National Youth Games. Definitely, we've heard of a situation where the NDLA and other other stakeholders will be around to ensuring that this do not happen. The Sports Writers Association have a lot of work to do here as well.
They do. Yes, I think there was a formal statement from the host state chapter sports writers saying that while we come together, our job, which is to promote and also to bring to the fore part of what we're having, it's also very important that we look at we look critically at some of those areas that will enhance the beauty of the game. And it's also loving to know that our main aim there is to report accurately and also to report things that will enhance the beauty of Nigeria, especially the image of Nigeria. So generally, the Sports Writers Association has a key role to play to ensuring that not just as the watchdog of what is happening there, to balance issues and have an informed, decision, as well as dish out good information out there to the public who may not be opportune, to be part of these particular games.
Well, let the games begin. Tomorrow, we'll see the opening ceremony of the 7th edition of the National Youth Games, and let's hope that the participants will stay clean and do compete fairly without any undue advantage. Enough of the National Youth Games. Now let's quickly go to Formula One. And Formula One, the next biggest event is in Japan. That is the Japanese Grand Prix. And Red Bull and its driver Max Verstappen are beginning to show signs of victory. Is this practice session where he turned out his fastest man on the track on soft tires an indication of what to come this weekend?
That happened in the early hours of this morning, and I think that Max Verstappen is, if you look at all that played out last week, I'm not sure he's really very elated that he was unable to win that one. And so this is started brightly now. I just hope that he will continue to blaze on. The Japanese Grand Prix is one that a lot of people have really given it to Tsunoda, but it doesn't get that way because we have not seen him even, that is his home track, and he wants to do everything possible. But let's look at Max Verstappen and the way he came into this particular one today. It looks like he's in for him because he will do everything possible to ensure that he wins this one. For me, if you ask me, one thing that is certain at this point is for him to blaze on rightly. But in the first training session, it was raining all through. I expect that he will be able to, put his hands together. But if you judge from the way things are going, it's difficult to really predict that he may not make the podium because when you start brightly with the way he also drove this morning, I'm very certain that he might get a podium finish again, maybe to win it this time again.
Max Verstappen lost in the race very first time last weekend in Singapore, and this is the first time we will see them win a race. And you think he is very bitter that he lost out in Singapore, so he wants to make it up in Japan?
He wants to make it up. Carlos Sainz won that one last week, and I don't think that...
Carlos Sainz is second already.
Yeah, this time. He also, he's building on the momentum. But what matters now is always be in the podium. If you are close to the podium, it gives you an advantage, to move on. So for me, I think that for Verstappen, it's he had a lot of complaints last week, when he never made a podium. And I think that our first practice session does not decide the outcome of the race proper, but it builds some momentum to what you want to achieve, the weekend. So for me, I keep my finger crossed. At the end of this practice session today, before the qualifiers, we will naturally know, okay, possibly this is what might happen. But I think it's good that Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen, did so well in the first practice session at the Japanese Grand Prix.
First practice session down. We hope by Sunday we'll have a clear indication of who has won the Japanese Grand Prix. But if you're looking out for Mercedes drivers, then if an indication of what we've seen early hours of this morning is anything to go by, then it will be a torrid time for Mercedes and its driver, Lewis Hamilton. And of course, the second driver is having some kind of difficulty in Japan because they came 13th and 15th respectively at the practice section. And we just hope that we can get the better of these two, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. George Russell managed to come in the 13th position, while Hamilton came in the distant 16th fastest after the practice session in the early hours of this morning. We wish them the very best of luck. But do you think Lewis Hamilton still have anything in his tank?
Yeah, of course. Bookmakers expected him. Haven't seen him, get the podium finish last week. They did expect him to also get this weekend to be an ISO. He came 16th in the first practice session. One would expect that he gets closer to the podium, which would be very nice. So let's see how far he can cope in his second practice session. But then he is taking things very easy. He doesn't want to pressurize, but I feel that at every point in time, having done so much for himself in Formula One, every weekend it's difficult to really talk about what is happening in any weekend without talking about Lewis Hamilton. And if he fails too, people want to look at what are the reasons behind this failure. So I think that for Lewis Hamilton and team messages, they have to up their game. They must get something at the end of this weekend.
Well, it has to do with the car driven by these two drivers, and we know the drivers are skillful. But from what we know, the aerodynamics of the car is not good enough this season for Mercedes. Well, enough of Formula One. Let's quickly go to tennis now. And Britain's Andy Murray has defeated Chinese wildcard Yeo Kong Mong to win his opening match of the Zhuhai Championship. The former world number one battled in what they call very humid conditions to beat Mo 7-5, 6-3, and of course reach the last 16. Anything good coming out from this one for the 36-year-old?
This is the first time in a very long while we get to see him in the round of 16, which is lovely. Getting to win a wild card entrant. It's also good. It builds his momentum. In recent time, we can really applaud the effort of Andy Murray. Helped his team to get to the next stage of the Davis Cup, which is also another nice outing. So it's about him, playing, because someone who suffered, that numerous surgery on his hips is just gradually coming back, and I wish him all the best. But getting to win this one would be a magical one for him. The last 4 years, we have seen him just one tournament, and that came this year before the Wimbledon. So for me, I think that he should go on and on. Who knows? If he gets to win this Zhuhai Championship, That will also enhance, his participation. He's gradually building up his rankings, which for me is very key too.
Well, talking about tennis players at this point in time, there is no Grand Slam event. All the Grand Slams have been concluded. But we're looking forward to season-ending championship, and players are taking the opportunity of the WTA and ATP events in the 500 category to improve on their rankings on the table. And one event we've seen in the last few hours is an event taking place at Guadalajara, that's in Mexico, where the 2020 Australian Open champion Sylvia Kenny, Resurgence Fall, rolls all out at the Open because he took out Luis Fernandez to make a second straight semi-final. Luis Fernandez, former Grand Slam champion, having some difficulty in the WTA event.
For Sylvia Kenny, I think this is a lovely one. The tournament ongoing there is a 1,000, tournament, and the WTA tournament, and it's part of what is already having the schedule. Mexico hosting this one, it's for me a good one because when you see some of the big stars being hosted at the likes of Ons Jabeur was hosted at by a certain Travision, Italian player, a few days ago. That was for me the high point of this competition so far. Sofia Kenin was 2020, winner, and I expect that as a Grand Slam winner, you should be able to post, pull stunt. And in recent time, she has been ranked low behind, coming back, to build her ranking from August this year. In recent time, she has won like 16 competitions, matches already. So I think that if she goes on with what we're seeing and she gets to the final, she's going to have it very tough because there's a certain young lady there, who is also in the semi-final. So if she gets to win and get to the finals tomorrow, and she win this one, that will be a remarkable comeback for her at the tail end of the season.
Sophie Kenny and doing so well. They are winning 14 now out of her 17 matches, and it looks like she's gradually finding her feet back in tennis. And talking about the Guadalajara Open in Mexico, Caroline Garcia. Yes, Caroline Garcia served her way into her first semi-final after 6 months with a 6-3, 6-4 victory over Victoria Azarenka on yesterday. Do you think Azarenka should have done better against Caroline? Caroline?
I think she should have. She should have.
Said win.
Said win. But I think that if you look at the power play and you look at the effort of Caroline Garcia, she is one of the most ranked ladies in this particular one. Victoria Azarenka is just barely coming back. Although she was very fantastic in her form. When you look at the form at just concluded the US Open, but then she has been in for that for a very long time, and so you cannot expect the energy from Caroline Garcia and that of herself. But it was an evenly matched or contested fixture. For me, I think that she will have to try again. After a very long time, we got to see Victoria Azarenka coming back this year and doing something. At least she get to the quarterfinal stages, but then maybe in other tournament we get to see her go far. But it all depends on what happens because the top seeded players always have a nod, and sometimes it's women tennis expectations are high. But those expectations are also evenly matched with upsets.
Upsets are the name of the game, but for me, I feel happy that we're having these big name players try to build up back again. A player like Victoria Azarenka, she's lost a couple of times. I think 4-1 now to Caroline Garcia. But at least she's there. Azarenka, former Grand Slam champion.
Yeah, for Azarenka, I think that it will be painful losing this way. Especially when you lose, in his first set, it just shows that something is wrong. Your tactics is not, you've not gotten it correctly. But I think that it's not easy. When we get to see this result, sometimes it looks like as if the other player did not do so well, but it's not true. I think that she did all she could yesterday, but she has so many enforced errors, and that really was not giving her the flow to really. I want the highlight of that encounter, and I think that she needs to do more if she must, get to the next level. For me, anything that will enhance the beauty of getting to see some of these players. And for Caroline Garcia, we expect her to do so well too. She has also lost it. So it's just players, who participated in this one are players who are either wild card entrants or players who are gradually finding their footing, as they prepare for maybe next year. And so we get to see some of them doing so well. The big names, so to say, they're not here. The only big name who was the top seed was Ons Jabeur, but she's been hosted out by a certain television. So I think television herself has also been hosted out. So it's more like I mean, everything going well. Let's see how it all pans out in the semi-finals today.
Talking about Anjouba from Tunisia, of course, Africa's brightest female tennis player. She's been to 3 Grand Slam finals and lost all 3. Do you think that is beginning to have an effect on her performances at this WTA event?
For her, it's more like yeah, I think that psychologically she needs to take it easy, because when you lose and you continue to lose, especially the way she lost against television, I mean, she got that first set and nobody would have believed that she would lose that game. For me, I would advise that she needs to take it easy a little bit. I mean, calm down, have some rest, and I mean, coupled with the fact that she's married, family outings, and a lot of stuff like that. I think it's not easy, but I expect that tournament like this, she should get to the finals. I mean, no excuse whatsoever losing to television a few days ago. So I will keep her finger crossed and see how far. But I think psychologically and emotionally, she needs to calm down a little bit. If it is stress, weigh it down and then move on. Because it's about, if you're not in good shape physically, it's also very difficult to you to do a whole lot mentally.
Shuba, Tunisia and Africa's best female tennis player, having a torrid time, having lost out at the US Open, and now taking out a loss early in the tournament in Mexico. Well, that will be it for this edition, for this half of the program. We'll definitely be back in a jiffy, and when we return, we'll go into the ever-busy world of football, starting from the local scene where teams are beginning to prepare for an eventual takeoff of the league, though we do not have confirmations about the date. And across Europe, the Europa League took center stage last night, and interesting results, I must tell you, especially for the British teams that took part in the Europa League. When we return for a break, we'll give you another update. Stay with us. here on Atlantic Television Network, and Echo is still here, and together we'll bring you up to speed with the latest happening around the world of sports. And in football now, with no eventual resumption date for the Premier League football here in Nigeria, teams are just preparing themselves ahead of eventual announcement of a date. And one of the teams is Wiki Tourists of Bauchi. They are right now embarking on a training tour in Gombe, a neighboring state, where they prepare for the 2023-2024 Nigerian National League season. Wiki Tourists are one of the teams that used to play in the Premier League, but now are having to face life in the lower rung.
Yeah, the Bauchi Elephant, as I probably call it, I think that they lost it last season. They had a very poor performance and deserve to be relegated when you compare the effort of other teams. You know, the difference between relegation in the Nigerian Premier League is the effort, where you start, and your scoring, prowess. So I think before now they used to see that place, the home, very strong venue to win, but they lost last season, and it was an abridged league. So I think that they have to prepare well now. If you ask me if they're going to come back next year, yes, I think so. But it depends on what the coach have to do with his players. For me, everything is still possible, very possible.
Everything is still possible that Wiki Tourists of Bauchi could make it, but they try to sharpen their skills with Gombe United. 2 games are expected to be on this weekend, just in a bid to prepare for the eventual takeoff of the season. The Nigerian National League has no eventual takeoff date, same as the Premier League, but the Nigerian National League seems to have made some inroads with having some quality partnership on running the league.
Yeah, for NNL, NNL is the second tier of club football in Nigeria. So anything that happens to NPFL, it trickles down, to them, and it shows that as promoting teams from the NNL to the NPFL, it is a good one, because everything that is due the NPFL team will now also get to the teams that we promoted, and that's the beauty. And that's what we have seen in senior climbs. In Western climbs, when you talk about the EPL, talk about the championship. As they're preparing to leave the championship, they know that there is this hunger, this taste, and that's why they fight. That's why you see the toughness of the championship, because everything want to play in the English Premier League, because they know the lucrative deals and partnership and sponsorship attached to the EPL. So same, we need to start from the top. If we must get our leagues in order, we need to make the NPFL lucrative, so that the NLO teams, the NNL teams, as they battle for survival, they battle for promotion, they have in mind that, okay, we are coming to, our target is to play in the Nigerian Premier League, which is the uppermost league in the country. So I think that it's about partnership. Yes, they have their different board, governing bodies, but you need to applaud the stride of the higher league, so that will be a motivation. Now, Aliu, who is the chairman of the NNL, when he speaks to his teams now, when he charged the managers, they have 40 clubs in the NNL. When he charged them now, he speaks authenticating the fact that, come on, we have done something at the higher level. Whatever you do here, you can gain from those partnerships. So I think it's good, and that also will bring a lot of competition into all the leagues.
Competition in the league, in the National League, and in the Premier League. Let's see how, but looking at organizers of, especially the National League, doing their best, ensuring that the matches played at the lower rung now, but 300 of matches are expected to be streamed, going to their strategic partnership with some commercial interest. Well, let's stay away from that and quickly go to what's happening globally, and it comes to the fact that there's been a recent FIFA ranking where the Super Eagles of Nigeria have dropped a little bit on the rung, especially in Africa, where they are now not within the top 5. Nigeria, not within the top 5. Epo, we know that by the latest ranking released yesterday, the Super Eagles of Nigeria are now 40th in the world and number 6 in Africa. How are the mighty sliding?
Well, it has a strong implication, to the groupings. And when you are not in the top 5, obviously you are going to play against the strongest 5, one of the strongest 5. That's what it means. But I think that yes, a lot of us were applauding the effort that we were able to trash StarTimes and Principal 60.
StarTimes has no
value.
Their value,
terms,
yes.
In
the
terms
ranking
of
value is
their
low.
coefficient and ranking point. So it makes no sense. But instead of adding value, it's removed from what we have already. From 39th, we dropped 3 points. That means that nothing, because when you play StarTimes and trash them 60, it's nothing. It doesn't. So I think that it's a lesson for many Nigerians. Before now, we used to think that ranking does not matter. But when you understand how these rankings are done through the coefficient and the rating, the games played, and the strength of the teams played against, you know that we need to start preparing. Now, the next game we're going to play is against Saudi Arabia. And you ask me, where is Saudi Arabia ranked in the world? Yes, they defeated Argentina in the first game of the World Cup. Does not imply that, they are better ranked. So we need to start thinking in that direction, because when you build your momentum, it goes a long way. Look at Morocco now. By virtue of what they were able to do at the last World Cup, they're not attempt in the world. That means in the world, and first in Africa. So it means that you need to do a whole lot. So for me, I am not bothered. The reason why I'm not bothered about the rankings for Nigeria is, if you want to win the AFCON, you need to be prepared to play the best team. And if playing one of the best teams, and getting to the next level, will make us want to play them again before to the finals, then let's do it. And I keep asking myself that, if you want to win, like Coach Joseph Pesera has said, you need to be ready for everything. I don't want to know who is coming our way. Is it Senegal, Morocco? If we have a good, formidable team, or a team that can play any other team in Africa, that does it for us. And that, for me, what it can. I used to be afraid of the groupings, but for now, I am no longer, because I feel that the Super Eagles of Nigeria should be able to play any team. They have one of the most expensive squad in Africa, and I shouldn't be surprised who comes that way. After all, the last time they said Egypt will give us problem, but we were able to trash Egypt in the group stage in the first game played. So I think that that is way behind it now, because any team in Africa can cause major upset to a team, especially if you're not prepared.
If you're not prepared, you get yourself in trouble. And for the Super Eagles of Nigeria sliding on the ranking table, it has to do with the quality of opposition we've met. It's always good to play against tough opposition so that they can improve on your ranking. Organizers of football here in Nigeria, the Nigerian Football Federation, should know how rankings are used, because if you slide on the ranking, you are going to meet tough teams in competition, both at the Cup of Nations and elsewhere, because ranking are used when it comes to grouping in a major competition. They should know this and ensure that the quality of opposition we get is it. Saudi Arabia, yes, but not strong enough on the ranking table, good enough to giving us a point or helping us to climb the ladder, if you ask me. But talking about the rankings, like Ipu mentioned, Morocco is 13th in the world and number 1 in Africa, courtesy of that excellent performance at the FIFA World Cup, where they got as far as to the semi-final of the FIFA World Cup. Besides that, we have in Senegal, and of course countries like Tunisia doing so well on the ranking in Africa.
For Tunisia, I think Tunisia have really done well. If you look at the caliber of teams they play so far, they may not be. If you look at the way they go, they are very silent about they perform excellently in their games. You see Tunisia playing, tough opponents, and maybe getting maximum points. You see them playing well-ranked opponents, and whereas, I mean, in some of the FIFA window, they don't even play African opponents, and that's the beauty of what they're doing. And that's why they understand. In fact, the North Africans understand what it means to be well-ranked. They know the value of being ranked, and that's why in their planning and their strategic outings, you see them go for top opponents or opponents that are well-ranked, better off than them. And that is why if they get a win, you see it catapult them to a level of admiration. So I think that we need to really learn from them. Senegal has been there for the past, since winning the last edition of the AFCON. But you cannot compare in the last 1 year now, because we've seen some Morocco and others, coming in and doing so well. So for me, it's about what you can do. Even if Nigeria wins, gets to the last stage of the World Cup, we may not even be as ranked as Morocco, because if you look at the caliber of games we've been playing, they are not at that level that we should be. So I keep my finger crossed and see how far it all boils down. But then this next year's AFCON that should have been played this year would be a very tough one. And it all depends on who comes first in your group.
Well, talking about the FIFA ranking, and with Africa first, we told you that Morocco is number 1 in Africa. We have Argentina as number 1 in the world. They are closely followed by France and Brazil in the 3rd place position, France in the 2nd place position. Is there any doubt about Argentina being ranked number 1? They return to the top rank on the FIFA's table. We've not seen them there, but courtesy of that performance from the last World Cup, Argentina is back. They've taken off the position held by France.
I mean, you cannot win a World Cup without... yes, they lost to Saudi Arabia in the first game. But if you look at the 7 games they played, it tells you that it took them a whole lot to get them to win that one. And I think that they truly deserve to be number one. And when you win the World Cup, I expect, it's just a natural belief that you are the world best team at that time, so you should be well ranked. But then sometimes it's not like that. I know that we have seen Belgium, who never won the World Cup, sat there for lengthy years. And we have also seen Brazil, who have not won the World Cup in recent time, also have been there. Not to even talk about some of the teams that are doing so well. So I expect that if you have been very good, like we have seen Argentina, then that deserves to be there. But if they don't play good matches, if they don't play top opponents in the coming months, in the next 6 months, if we see teams, because the coefficient between them and Brazil, France, England, very slim. So we may see a change there, but I expect them to continue.
Well, talking about rankings, we now know that Morocco is number one in Africa. Argentina is number one in the world. Well, let's hope that the Super Eagles of Nigeria that has dropped out of the first 5 in Africa and out of the first 39 in the world will do everything to climbing up on the ladder. Now, let's go to talking about the Super Eagles reminds me of Victor Osimhen, one player who right now is having the rave of the moment. He's been nominated as among the nominees for the Ballon d'Or award, and the Nigerian Football Federation, his parent body, is saying that they will do everything to ensuring that he has some support for the 2023 FIFA Best Player award. Don't forget, there is still the very big names involved in this one, but the very fact that we're having Victor Osimhen to be nominated, the first Nigerian to be nominated in the 33-year-old award, is very cheering.
Very cheering, and I mean, if support did not come from your own home, I wonder where that support will come from. So I think that Nigeria haven't won the African the African best player in the world in recent time. I mean, the African best player in recent time. So this is more like we have conquered Africa now. From his nomination to to the second phase of the FIFA Best Award and Ballon d'Or, it shows that he has conquered Africa, and as it stands now, it's going to take something devastating for us not to see Osimhen win the Africa Best Footballer of the Year, which is very, very so. NFF, they are queuing into this nomination now to see how far they can also push their own. You never can tell. It's about voting. It's about choice. So if they can influence the heart of the captains and those that will be voting, who says that Osimhen may not even be in the top 10, maybe not to win it, like I keep saying, but the nomination alone is something that is good, because when your player from your national team is nominated, it brings to limelight the effort of the national team and the federation too. So I think that he's truly deserving of him, and no surprise why we're seeing the NFF back him up massively on social media.
While the Nigerian Football Federation giving their best support to Victor Osimhen, the man who helped Napoli to come back to the league title last season, doing the same thing that Diego Armando Maradona of Blessed Memory did for FC Napoli, and deserves to be mentioned for the FIFA Best Player of the Year award. Let's quickly now go to Europe. And talking about Europe reminds us of the UEFA Champions League that entered into Europa League stage yesterday. Echo, we saw 52 goals scored in 16 match venues across Europe last night. Interestingly, our focus mostly is on the top teams in the Premiership. Liverpool was in action. In the first half, they looked like they didn't get their bearing. They were losing by 1-0. But in the second half, there were 3 quick goals.
I think that Liverpool started with changes in the first 11. I mean, we never saw any top player in that first 11. It was in the second half when we started seeing, a blend of top first team players. So what we saw from Jurgen Klopp is a total rejigging of the team, and getting to see young lads display. And I think it's lovely. That's a risk, because in the UEFA Europa Cup, teams you don't expect can pull out stunts, and would have seen that from Lance yesterday. So for Liverpool, I think it's one of those things. The fact that they've not played,
but they're traveling all the way to Serbia to take on their opponent, and were able to be calm in the last 45 minutes. Does it show the quality of Liverpool?
It shows. I mean, the last time we saw them in the finals, and since then we haven't seen them again. They went all the way within the period. They were able to win one Champions League. They won for the first time in 30 years. They won the English Premier League. So I think they have really achieved not being part of the second tier of club football, even if in their heart of heart shouldn't be where Liverpool should be playing, because as a big team in England, you should be playing at the elite level. And it looks like there's no drama, there's no pathway to this one. You're going to complete your season in the Europa League. And so the only target now is for them to win it. And if you look at the caliber of Liverpool, anything other than winning it will be a total disappointment for them in the season, especially in Europe. So we just wait and see how far. But I think they've started brilliantly. I have no doubt in me that they're going to top that group, because I see no team there. I mean, no disrespect, but I see no team that will stand the caliber of Liverpool there.
Talking about Premier League ties in the Europa League Conference, West Ham, the last season, of course, you remember, did win the Conference League, and because of that, they were upgraded to play in the Europa Cup. But they have their baptism of fire on sour note because they lost at home to a stronger opponent. 3-2, that one did end. Do you see West Ham competing strong in this second-tier European Cup?
Yeah, why Brighton and Hove Albion lost at home? West Ham were able to win.
Sorry, West Ham.
West Ham were able to win yesterday, and that's for me another good side. David Moyes, with what they were able to do last season, getting to win that one against Fiorentina, I think that that will even get them up. Don't forget they've been part of the Europa League a few seasons ago, but then they lost it, and they have to do everything possible to getting a win. In that one, ensuring that for 69 years they were able to get their hands on a European trophy. So this is in the target will be maybe we can get at least maybe to the finals. Who knows? Get maybe to the later stages of the competition, and I think that will be fair enough. They've able to add some good players, Mohamed Kudus, some of the young lads who will blend the side and make more meaning to the side. And they're not doing badly at all, even in the league. So West Ham looks like a rejuvenating project. And David Moyes understands how to work with these young lads.
Well, British teams, there are two of them they're getting victories, and one, Brighton, they're losing out on it. If you ask me, before that match started, I would have thought that Brighton would have gotten the result going by their performances in the Premier League so far.
Yeah, at the Ames Stadium, one would have expected that, truly, because they're playing at home, they played in front of their fan. For them, this is the first time they are ever engaging in anything European football. And with the way we saw them yesterday, I just feel that that first time inexperience played out too, or played into as to why they lost that game yesterday. But they did everything possible to come back. But I mean, if you do not have the experience in Europe, you have to. Experience in Europe is a gradual process, something built over time. It's not a one-off thing, and that was what we saw yesterday. But I'm sure with the way they've gone about that game in the EPL, I'm sure Beto Di Zerbi, the coach of the side, will go back and they see the areas that they can learn from, and they still have 4 more games to play, or 5. Who says that they cannot achieve it?
Well, British teams, 2 winning and 1 losing on the night. Let's look at how the Spanish teams performed. Panathinaikos beat Villarreal by 2-0. Were you expecting this one, even though the match was played in Greece?
No, I wasn't. But if you know, recently the Yellow Submarines have really fallen short in terms of packaging. As I saw some new players. Jackson left to England, to Chelsea. Chukwueze left to AC Milan. Some of the players are no longer with them. So it's more like a new team altogether coming together to see how far. And this is an away encounter. And so if you could travel, and the travel process can also be very draining. And that could be one of the reasons why we saw the display yesterday. But this is our first game. They played away from home. Let's see how they are going to react in their second game.
Betis played a 1-1 draw with their opponent on the night, Rangers. Do you see them coming back? Rangers beat them by 1-0. Betis losing at the second Spanish team to lose on the night.
Yeah, I think all the Spanish team, none really floated themselves in
glory.
But take nothing for granted. They are one of the most successful sides in this particular competition. So you just hope that you might be surprised what will happen after the first match day. For me, I think that for Rangers, they needed to win to build momentum. They played in front of their home fans, and everything stood in for them. So I'm not really surprised. It was a very scrappy win there. It wasn't as easy as we are seeing the result. It took a whole lot for them to get that, and they also defended it timely. So for me, I expect that we're going to see things change so much from the second match day of the Europa Cup.
Talking about teams playing in the Europa Cup, let's look at how the Germans fared. Bayer Leverkusen were able to take out their opponents by 4 on-reply goals. That is FC Aken. You think this is a reflection of what to come in the stronger stage, in later stages of the league? Bayer Leverkusen beating Haken, and we saw Union Berlin forcing a 1-0 draw in their encounter against Gilles from France.
For the German team, if German team, one thing I love about them is that if they meet you, they beat you wear black blue. They beat you, and you know that you have been beaten. And if they also lose, they can lose very scandalously. But they are a stronger opponent as compared to what we used to see from England. And you know the way they play tactically, they play in a very strong format, physically too. But then, in the early days, we have not really seen them even adore themselves in top glory in recent times. They've not won. None of them have won the Europa League. So one can maybe say that it's just one of those games. But let's see how far. After the group stages, we now know. But for now, it's good to start on a very high, and that's what they are doing.
Looking at the Italian teams, Roma FC traveled all the way to Moldova and beat Tiraspol by 2-1. I saw that one with Roman Lukaku with the winner.
Yeah, Roman Lukaku doing what is expected of him there, and I think that Jose Mourinho is one man who understands how to get done for Roma. They want to, we saw what played out last season, where when they failed to get their hands on that trophy, and I think that they won't want to do that the second time. So the best is to start on a winning note and push themselves, because they are also thinking of maybe coming back to Europe with the way they are going about their league. It's not been very rosy for them, but somehow they've had an ambivalent start.
Well, some breaking news coming from Europe at this point, and it has to do with FC Arsenal. You're a fan of Arsenal. Captain Martin Odegaard has signed a new 5-year contract, and this is, for me, a deserving extension for the Norwegian captain, who incidentally is the captain of Arsenal Football Club of England. He scored as many goals for the team. The whole of last season, he featured in all 38 games played by Arsenal in the Premier League. Do you think this is a very big one ahead of the North London derby between Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur?
Yeah, it's a good one. Song Heung-min has come out to say that to be a very strong one for Arsenal, that Arsenal should not take anything for granted when coming to play them at home. But then with this one now, Martin Odegaard has really proven that he has the leadership capacity, he has the leadership wit, to really galvanize what happens in the field of play. One man who played almost all the games in the English Premier League last season, it doesn't come better than that. Having a captain who has solidity in terms of leadership and who can also muster, who leads by example, scoring goals, dishing out assists, and pushing the team forward. I haven't seen such a leader in recent time from Arsenal, and I think that giving him more, especially when you look at the amount that the club got him back then. Just wonder that this man has really done so much for Arsenal, and he should be celebrated. I'm happy that they gave him a new contract. And who says that with what they've done him now, he will not put more to ensure that Arsenal at least lay their hands on this trophy this time.
Martin Odegaard joined Arsenal from Real Madrid about 2 years ago at the price sum of, 30 million pounds. And a lot of people believe that was a very good buy, a cheap one as that for Arsenal Football Club of England. He's made 112 appearances for his team at the age of 24 and scoring 27 goals and making about 15 assists in the process. And now been given a reward of 5 years contract. I think it is a deserving one for the Norwegian captain, equally captain of Arsenal Football Club of England. That will be it for this edition of Sports Talk. I'll definitely be back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sports Extraordinary, when our focus will be on the Premier League and, of course, the top 5 league fixtures coming up this weekend across in the world of football. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here, Atlantic Television Network.